The war's lessons continue to serve as a reminder of the devastating consequences of global conflict and the importance of diplomacy and cooperation in maintaining peace. Welcome to Historical Moments, where we take you on a journey through time. Our channel is dedicated to bringing you fascinating stories, pivotal events, and unforgettable moments that have shaped our world. Whether it's a significant battle, a game-changing discovery, or a moment of triumph, we uncover the history that defines us. Subscribe and join us as we explore the past, one moment at a time. World War I, often referred to as the Great War, was a global conflict that spanned from July 28, 1914 to November 11, 1918. It was one of the deadliest conflicts in human history, involving many of the world's great powers divided into two opposing alliances, the Allies and the Central Powers. This monumental event reshaped geopolitics, society, and warfare, leaving a legacy that continues to influence the world to this day. The roots of World War I can be traced to a complex web of political, economic, and social factors. Among these were militarism, alliances, imperialism, and nationalism, often summarized by the acronym MAIN. By the early 20th century, European nations were engaged in an arms race. Advances in technology led to the development of more sophisticated weapons, including machine guns, artillery, and warships. This militaristic culture created an atmosphere of tension and competition, where nations viewed military strength as a primary means of securing power and prestige. Militarism also permeated societies, influencing education, propaganda, and public perceptions. Military parades and nationalist rhetoric glorified the idea of war as a noble endeavor, masking its potential devastation. Europe was divided into two main blocs: the Triple Entente, comprising France, Russia, and Britain, and the Triple Alliance, comprising Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy. These alliances were designed for mutual protection, but also created a framework where a conflict involving one nation could quickly escalate to involve others. Secret treaties and agreements further complicated the geopolitical landscape, as nations sought to secure their interests in an increasingly volatile environment. The alliances fostered a sense of inevitability about war. Each side believed it needed to prepare for the worst-case scenario, reinforcing an atmosphere of distrust and suspicion. This entanglement meant that localized disputes had the potential to ignite a broader conflict. The late 19th and early 20th centuries were characterized by intense imperial competition. European powers vied for colonies in Africa, Asia, and the Americas, leading to disputes over territories and resources. This imperialistic rivalry exacerbated tensions, particularly between Britain and Germany, whose naval arms race underscored their broader competition for global dominance. The struggle for influence in regions such as the Balkans and the Middle East added another layer of complexity to international relations. Imperialism also created a web of economic dependencies and rivalries. Colonies were seen as vital sources of raw materials and markets for goods, making them strategically and economically significant. The competition for these resources often brought major powers into direct conflict, as exemplified by the Moroccan crises of 1905 and 1911. Nationalism fueled the desire for self-determination among various ethnic groups within empires, such as the Austro-Hungarian and Ottoman empires. Nationalism fostered a sense of superiority and competition among nations, further inflaming tensions. Nationalist movements, such as those in Serbia and Poland, sought to break free from imperial rule, while larger nations used nationalist rhetoric to justify their ambitions. In the Balkans, nationalist aspirations collided with imperial interests, creating a volatile powder keg. Serbia's support for Slavic independence movements directly challenged Austria-Hungary's authority. This tension culminated in the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand on June 28, 1914. This event set off a chain reaction of diplomatic and military maneuvers, leading to the mobilization of alliances and the outbreak of war. World War I unfolded across multiple fronts, with the Western Front and the Eastern Front being the most prominent. The Western Front, stretching from the North Sea to the Swiss border, became synonymous with trench warfare. Soldiers lived in harsh conditions, enduring mud, disease, and constant shell fire. Iconic battles such as the Battle of the Somme and the Battle of Verdun highlighted the brutality and futility of trench warfare, with massive casualties for minimal territorial gains. Life in the trenches was a grueling experience. Soldiers faced not only enemy attacks, but also the constant threat of disease, such as trench foot and dysentery. The psychological toll was immense, with many experiencing shell shock, an early term for what is now recognized as post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. The Eastern Front, spanning much of Eastern Europe, was more fluid than its Western counterpart. The vast distances and less entrenched warfare allowed for significant troop movements. Russia faced early defeats, such as the Battle of Tannenberg, which highlighted the challenges they faced on the Eastern Front. Internal strife eventually led to the Russian Revolution in 1917, which resulted in Russia's withdrawal from the war. The collapse of the Eastern Front allowed Germany to shift resources westward, but this strategic advantage was short-lived. The Eastern Front also saw widespread suffering among civilian populations as armies swept through villages and towns, leaving devastation in their wake. Beyond Europe, the war extended to the Middle East, Africa, and Asia, illustrating its global reach and impact. The Ottoman Empire, aligned with the Central Powers, saw campaigns such as the Gallipoli Campaign and the Arab Revolt. In Africa, colonial forces clashed over territories, while in Asia, Japan capitalized on the war to expand its influence in China and the Pacific. These global dimensions of the war underscored its truly worldwide impact. The Gallipoli Campaign, for instance, was a major Allied operation aimed at securing a sea route to Russia. The campaign ended in failure, with heavy casualties on both sides. Meanwhile, the Arab Revolt, led by figures like T.E. Lawrence, contributed to the eventual dismantling of the Ottoman Empire. The war also saw significant developments in naval and aerial warfare. Germany's unrestricted submarine warfare, including the sinking of the RMS Lusitania, played a role in bringing the United States into the conflict. Meanwhile, the use of airplanes evolved from reconnaissance missions to bombing raids and dogfights. The emergence of air power introduced a new dimension to warfare, with early fighter aces becoming symbols of national pride. The naval blockade of Germany by the British Royal Navy significantly impacted Germany's economy and war effort. In response, Germany's U-boat campaign targeted Allied and neutral shipping, aiming to cut off vital supplies. These tactics underscore the increasing importance of controlling sea lanes in modern warfare. Initially, the United States maintained a policy of neutrality, underpinned by public sentiment and President Woodrow Wilson's desire to avoid entanglement in European conflicts. Several factors, including the Zimmermann telegram and unrestricted submarine warfare, shifted public opinion and political will. In April 1917, the U.S. declared war on Germany, providing fresh troops and resources that would prove decisive for the Allies. The arrival of American forces boosted Allied morale and added significant manpower to the Western Front. American industrial output also played a crucial role, supplying the Allies with weapons, ammunition, and other essential materials. Wilson's vision of a post-war world, encapsulated in his 14 points, emphasized self-determination and the establishment of a League of Nations to prevent future conflicts. By 1918, the Central Powers were on the brink of collapse. The Allied forces launched successful offensives, while internal dissent and economic hardships weakened Germany and its allies. The abdication of Kaiser Wilhelm II and the signing of the Armistice of Compiègne on November 11, 1918, marked the end of the fighting. The final months of the war saw significant advances by the Allies, including the 100 Days Offensive, which pushed German forces back and liberated occupied territories. Despite these successes, the human and material cost of the war was staggering, leaving deep scars on all involved nations. The aftermath of World War I was marked by significant political, social, and economic upheaval. The Treaty of Versailles, signed in 1919, imposed harsh penalties on Germany, including territorial losses, military restrictions, and reparations. This treaty sowed the seeds of resentment and economic hardship, contributing to the rise of Adolf Hitler and the onset of World War II. The redrawing of borders created new nations, but also left unresolved disputes that would fester for decades. The war also led to the dissolution of empires, including the Austro-Hungarian, Ottoman, German, and Russian empires, giving rise to new nations and redrawing borders. The League of Nations was established in an effort to prevent future conflicts, though its effectiveness was limited. The social fabric of nations was transformed, with the role of women expanding as they took on jobs traditionally held by men. Technological advancements during the war laid the groundwork for future innovations, from aviation to medicine. Veterans struggled to reintegrate into societies that often failed to address their needs, while the collective memory of the war influenced art, literature, and culture. Works such as Erich Maria Remarque's All Quiet on the Western Front and Wilfred Owen's poetry captured the disillusionment and trauma of a generation. World War I reshaped the modern world, influencing everything from international relations to art and literature. The war's lessons continue to serve as a reminder of the devastating consequences of global conflict and the importance of diplomacy and cooperation in maintaining peace. The centenary commemorations of the war highlighted its enduring significance, prompting reflection on the sacrifices made and the lessons learned. Thank you for watching Historical Moments. We hope you enjoyed this trip through history. If you liked the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more incredible stories from the past. Until next time, keep exploring the moments that changed history.